All right, Craftsmanship Expression, the language of a temple. We're about to dive in and decode the visual language of these amazing structures. We'll explore how every single carving and design tells a story of belief, of artistry, and of history. Have you ever stood in front of one of those old, super ornate buildings and just felt kind of overwhelmed by all the detail? Well, today, we're actually going to learn how to read it. I want you to think of every single element on a temple not as just, decoration, but as a word in a rich visual language. Okay, so first up, we've got stone carving. And this is the bedrock, yeah, literally, of temple art. It's how these amazing artisans create everything from massive statues to the tiniest, most intricate architectural details. They're turning solid rock into these powerful expressions of culture and belief. Then, of course, there's wood carving. This is the craft that brings all that warmth and intricacy to the temples inside. The structure, the furniture. You've got these incredibly skilled artists transforming wood into, well, everything, from the main structural supports to these really delicate decorative sculptures. And wrapping up our big three, you've got brick carving. Now, this is where even the simplest building material, a brick, becomes a canvas. I mean, these artisans are etching incredible designs right onto the surface of the bricks, adding a whole other layer of texture and storytelling to the temple's walls. Okay, so we've got our three core crafts: stone, wood, and brick. With those in mind, let's start our journey. We're going to go from the outside in, beginning right at the foundation and the exterior walls. The parts that create that powerful first impression. So get this. The very foundation of the temple tells a story of the sea. This beautiful green granite, it wasn't actually quarried for the temple. It was originally used as ballast, basically just heavy weight to keep merchant ships stable on their voyage to Taiwan. So what started as just a practical solution for safe sailing ended up providing the perfect, super durable material for these sacred buildings. How cool is that? All right, so as you walk up to the entrance, you're greeted by these magnificent stone lions. But here's the thing, they're not just identical guards. They actually embody this deep principle of balance. The male on the left, he's got his paw on a ball, symbolizing power. And the female on the right, she's protecting a cub, which is all about nurturing. Put them together, and you get perfect harmony. And this just goes to show you how deeply symbolic these structures are. Take an exterior carved wall. It isn't just a wall, right? It's actually conceptualized as a body. It's divided into these distinct sections, from the head at the top all the way down to the base at the bottom. And each part of this anatomy can tell its very own story. Okay, let's step inside. Now we're going to look at the temple's structural core. We're talking about the very pillars that hold everything up. And as you'll see, they are absolute masterpieces of both art and engineering. Once you're inside, you'll notice right away that not all pillars are the same. Nope, each type has its own specific role. You've got dragon columns, which represent the status of the deities. Then you have flower and bird columns to add a lively, decorative feel. Bat columns? Those are for good luck. And figurine columns are there to tell stories of historical figures. See? Every single pillar is a purposeful piece of the story. And what's really fascinating is that even within a single type, like the dragon pillar, you can see this amazing evolution of artistry. The really early pillars, they show the dragon's body carved very close to the stone, so it looks kind of flat. But as time goes on, the carvings get way more intricate, way more three-dimensional, until the dragon looks like it's literally breaking free from the stone. It's just a stunning display of skill. All right, now I want you to look up, way up. How in the world does that massive, heavy roof stay up there? The secret? It's something called the dugung. This is this ingenious system of interlocking wooden brackets. It's an absolute work of genius that transfers the entire weight of the roof all the way down to the columns. And get this, without using a single nail. And while you're looking up, check out the corners where the beams and columns meet. You'll spot these beautiful triangular supports. They're called kyutya. And they have a dual purpose, which is so clever. First, they add crucial stability to the whole structure. But they're also designed to look like birds' wings, which adds this touch of elegance and grace right where all that strength is needed. Form and function, perfectly blended. Okay, so we've looked at the stone foundation, the base, we've seen the wooden skeleton holding it all up. Now it's time to explore the temple's artistic skin. This is the vibrant layer that covers everything, filling the space with color, character, and, you guessed it, even more stories. The walls, the ceilings, they're just covered in these stunning murals. And you have to understand, these are not just for decoration. Think of them more like visual textbooks. They show deities, myths, important legends, and they serve as this really powerful tool for religious education, passing down all those cultural stories from one generation to the next. Now, if you look really closely at the three-dimensional decorations, you're going to find two incredible ceramic crafts at play. First, there's koji pottery. This is a special kind of glazed pottery used for those really intricate handmade figures. And then there's cut porcelain inlay. This is more of a mosaic-like craft where artisans literally cut and fit tiny pieces of porcelain together to create these complex scenes you see on the walls and roofs. And last but not least in this section, I need you to look straight up again, because you might see an absolute masterpiece, the decorated coffer ceiling. It is the spectacular, almost web-like design that's built from those same interlocking dugong brackets we talked about. They spiral up and up into these amazing patterns. It's a true architectural marvel, and it's designed to do one thing: draw your eyes and your spirit upward. All right, for our final part, we're going to put it all together and decode the symbols. We can now recognize the different crafts, right? So let's learn the hidden language behind some of the most common shapes and figures you'll find all over the temple. So let's start with this one. You see bat ornaments everywhere in a temple. And you might be thinking, bats? Really? It seems like a strange choice for a secret space, doesn't it? But trust me, there's a very, very clever reason. And here it is. It all comes down to a pun. See, in Chinese, the word for bat, which is fu, it sounds exactly like the word for fortune, fu and fu. So carving a bat is basically a visual way of wishing good fortune and blessings on everyone who comes in. Okay, let's do another one. You'll often see doorways or other openings that are shaped just like a vase. And again, just like the bat, this is not a random stylistic choice. It carries a very specific and very helpful meaning. You guessed it, it's another pun. The symbolism is all in the sound. The word for vase, bing, has the exact same pronunciation as the word for peace, also bing. So when you walk through a vase-shaped door, you're symbolically entering a space of peace and tranquility. It's just brilliant. So when you put all of these pieces together, the stone, the wood, the carvings, the symbols, you realize that these temples are so much more than just static structures. They're like dynamic, living libraries of culture, skill, and belief. And it's all written in a language that anyone can learn to read. You just have to know what to look for. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What stories are hidden in the buildings all around you? The next time you walk past an old building, maybe take a closer look. What symbols can you find? What stories are hidden there in plain sight, just waiting for you to read them?